Okay. Greetings and hello to you, viewer from across the tubes. I am Gnarly Quack, although my friends and enemies call me Carl, and I am coding on Dr. Strangetest, my testing framework for PHP. And I'm pretty much going to pick up where I left off yesterday, kind of trying to sort out how I handle managing sort of test run and test group information in the framework. And it's a little bit of a I know I have a hard time explaining it, but I guess I will try. But let's get into the code here. And let me, I guess, just pull up my notes. So basically what we end up doing is, or what the framework allows is, in both directories and files, you can identify or define basically like special fixture functions called run fixtures, I guess, for lack of me being able to come up with a better word. And basically what that allows you to do is for each run setup fixture function that you define, that function can return basically a list of arguments. And then it will, for each function that you define, it will rerun your tests, providing those lists of arguments to your tests. So you can basically, it allows you to parameterize your tests and then run those tests multiple times with different sets of arguments. And you can define those functions both at the directory level and at the file level. And the framework also allows you to declare dependencies between different tests. And so the framework needs to keep track of some information so that those dependencies are handled correctly between tests that could potentially be invoked multiple times if they live inside one of these run fixture functions. I'm having a hard time with the terminology there. Excuse me. Hopefully I'm muted there, and hopefully I'm unmuted now. Looks like I am. So the two things that we need to keep track of is, first of all, we basically, and I guess I'm thinking about it, this may not actually be necessary, but anyway, right now the framework basically identifies all the runs, all the declared test runs, and then assigns it like a unique, just a unique sequential number. The other thing we want to do is every time we run into a directory setup file or a test file that declares these run fixtures, we then also create a new run group. So we're saying, right, these two run fixtures were defined in the directory dir, say, and so this is going to create a group that, again, is just a unique sequential number identified by the framework. So that creates a run group that we would just call 1. And then here in this file, maybe this is file 1, that lives in this directory, we create a group 2. And it's possible, right, there could be another file in that directory that declares also declares its own test runs. So that would be group 3, and then these would be run 5 and run 6. So now one thing to keep in mind is now if these files declare tests, so let's say we have test 1, I guess it doesn't really matter, but test 1 and test 2 in this file, and then this has test 3 and test 4 in this file. What this means now is each test is going to be run 4 times. Well, so we'll call this, maybe just identify, this is directory setup.php. This would be directory test1.php. And this would be directory test2.php. So just to sort of identify what we got going on here. So what this means is test1 now is actually going to be run 4 times, right? And that's kind of what this is for run, but it's going to be run 4 times, and these are the 4 times it's going to be run. These are this would be the name of the run of the test runs as given by the user based on the functions they defined. But if we were using the IDs assigned by the framework, this would basically be the instances that we're talking about. Test run would be run as part of, or test one would be run as part of test three, which would itself be inside of. I feel like I'm stumbling all over my words. Test one would be run as part of run three, which is itself being run as part of run one. So we have that. Then would be run again as part of run four, which itself is still part of run one. Then it would be run two more times, where runs 3 and 4 would this time be run as part of run 2. So we have this hierarchy here. And then, for test 3, we basically have the same thing, except the run numbers would change, or the run IDs would change, I should say. So, you'll note that because these tests are, assuming proper namespace within the files, but these test runs could have the same sort of user-defined name. So test 3 would also have this, but they would have different framework assigned numbers. So this would be 5 and 6 and 5 and 6. So that's that. Now the whole point of these groups is, let's say test 2 requires test 1 to run before it passes. Or test 2 requires test 1 to pass in order for test 2 to run. So in this case, the framework detects that dependency and now needs to know, okay, which invocation of test 2 are you dealing with? And based on that, which invocation of test 1 needs to pass? And one of the things it does for that is it looks at these group numbers. So as you can see, these run hierarchies are fixed, but there's basically 4 different instances of test 2 that we could be looking at, and that in turn could depend on potentially 4 different outcomes of test 1. And so just looking at, say, the run number is also, basically in order to uniquely identify it, we need this entire hierarchy, because test 4, we just don't care about run number 4, because run number 4 is itself being executed twice. So we need this entire hierarchy. But sitting in test 2, looking at test 1, we don't necessarily know which runs we expect test 1 to have. And that is what these group numbers are, because in all cases, if we consider the group numbers, we have basically we have the same sort of hierarchy, but it's going to be group 2 inside of group 1. So for all of these, the group is the same. And for this, instead of group 2, this is going to be group 3. So what this allows us to do now is say, okay, test 2 declared a dependency on test 1. I am in group 1, 2, and test 1 is also in group 1, 2. So if this is invocation 1, 3 of test 2, then what I need from test 1 is the result of invocation 1, 3. Or, if I'm sitting there at test 2 and this is invocation 2, 4, and maybe just to sort of, this would be run So basically what this allows us to say, oops, what did I do there? So even though we're looking at different run numbers, we can see the group stays constant, and that allows us to say, to determine which instance of test 1 we want the result of to satisfy some instance of test 2. Because we just can't, again, there's 4 different invocations of test 1 in this case, and so we just can't pick sort of the first instance that we find. Now similarly, if test 3 declares a dependency on test 1, then this allows us to do the same sort of thing. If this is invocation 1, 5 of test 3, and I declare a dependency on test 1, I can say, well, I'm in group 1, 3, but run is in group, or test one is in group 1, 2. And so what it looks to do is it looks to find the highest sort of common group number. So it says, okay, well, I'm in group 1 and test 1 is also in group 1. So what we want is for each for invocation 1.5 and 1.6 of test 3, we want the result of run 1 from test 1. And so basically what the framework does is it automatically sort of calculates that based on whether test 1 passes all of its test runs that make up test run 1. So if 1.3 and 1.4 both pass, then we say, okay, well, test 1 passed for run 1. And so if those pass, then test 1.5 and test 1.6 will be, oh, okay, so test 1 passed for run 1, so we're good to go. And then if we come down here to run 2.5, right, we say, oh, okay, well, again, the common group here is 1. That means this right, you can, like, the group hierarchy maps to the hierarchy of tests. So we can say, okay, group 1 matches, so we want run 2 of test 1 now to pass in order for us to even run. So it does that the same way. So that's what essentially these group numbers and run numbers are trying to sort out. And it's possible we may not need these framework assigned numbers. We can just use the test names, but that's kind of beside the point. That's just sort of what's going on. Now, what's happening right now in what I guess I started working on yesterday was to sort of shift where we're determining this information, because right now when we're doing test discovery, we're basically figuring out what these group hierarchies are, because these are going to be right, calculate them or determine them once, and then there will be static throughout invocations of the tests. That's the whole point of this. This doesn't change regardless of what instance of the tests are running. So right now we're calculating this at discover time. But the problem with that is it then puts a dependency on, okay, we have to completely discover, right? If we're doing discovery of this directory, we need to complete discovery of the entire directory. Basically, we need to find directory, or not find, but we need to like see if there's a setup.php in there, and then fully parse that, and not just only fully parse that, but then validate any sort of run information that's declared in there, so we can build this number, and then only after that can we then proceed with discovering the individual files or subdirectories in that directory, because we need to pass write this group information down, because this calculation is happening inside of discovery. If we can move that to runtime, then we can just sort of, okay, I found a group, we'll assume everything's fine, because if it's not, we're not going to run anyway. But if it's fine, we'll just assign a group number to it, but keep going, and then let that get sorted out at runtime. So if we move that to runtime, we can greatly, well, maybe not greatly, but we can simplify discovery and make that process a little bit more efficient. Yeah, and then move some of that work to runtime, which I guess the upside to that is right, we're sort of doing this already, right? We're going to be walking this hierarchy in order. Also, if we are only running a subset of our tests, we only need to actually do this calculation for the tests that are actually run. But the one downside is if we come back through because of some unresolved dependencies, then we're calculating that, right? We're calculating that a second time. And also based on the way we're saving off this information, because, right, if test 3 requires test 1 and maybe test 1 hasn't run yet, we want to save off, basically we're going to postpone test 3 and then come back later, and hopefully at that point test 1 will have run, and we'll check it again. So In that case, we're basically saving off, okay, run 1.5 of test 3 is waiting for the outcome of run 1 of test 1. So we save off that information. And so how we save that information off basically needs to be consistently reconstructed so that right, these dependencies get sorted out correctly. So, and that's a little bit of the trickiness, I guess, or at least I'm finding it tricky. So we sort of started that process yesterday by moving around where we're storing these group ID numbers, because before each individual test essentially was holding that ID number, because we were doing this calculation again. Well, I'm not sure. It just doesn't seem like it was a very smart move, but that's what I ended up doing at the time. So we moved that out to be defined in one place, but we're still now like calculating this hierarchy at discover time, and we're also doing some work with some sort of processing of runs at discover time. And I'm not sure that may not actually be important right now. It may not be something we want to do, but I don't know if it's sort of providing the same sort of hang up that this group calculation is. Basically, I have to take a look at it, and I guess instead of talking, I can take a look at it. But I guess my goal today is to move this calculation of these group hierarchies out of discovery, out of the discovery phase, and move that into the test run phase. And I can see sort of, I don't know, I kind of waded into it yesterday. And so we'll see how that goes today, and based on how that goes, I can see, I guess after that I just want to see what's going on with this run stuff, because as a result of calculating this discover time, we were like holding this stuff in like our global state class, and we may be able to just pull that out, but I kind of have to see how this run information is being stored, and then how we're looking it up later to see, okay, sort out what the dependencies are. Anyway, so that is that. So I guess I might start in discovery, and actually, let me just, I didn't look to see, we're on branch runs. I believe we should be in fine fettle at the moment. Okay. So with that, I guess I'll bump this out and take a look at what's going on here in discovery. So I guess this is in the validate runs function. So here is essentially, or I guess it's not. Oh no, yeah, it's right up here. So right up here, we're basically, this is where we get sort of the next group ID number. And we're just, since we're saving these in the global state right now, it's just the next index into the groups array. And then here's where we're building this hierarchy. We've got like the parent run group, and that's what we need to accurately determine before we can descend down into the next level of discovery. But we grab the parent run group ID number, and then using that ID number, we look up basically the hierarchy for that parent, and then we add our own run on there. Because PHP arrays are copy on write, this actually creates a new array, and then we save that back into the global state. So that basically then, this is what the group hierarchy is for this run group ID. So this is, right here is what I want to move to runtime. And then, and I should just say, as the last step, then we assign the new group ID number to the current run group. So this is what I want to move to runtime. And So I have this run ID class, and I'm thinking instead of calling it run ID class, run ID, maybe call it run instance, because I feel like that is a more accurate description of what we're talking about here. And let me just see where I broke things. So apparently I did. At 48. Right. So let's just see if I can run ID, and let's substitute that with run instance. 3 substitutions there. And I guess that's all we needed to do. Okay. So that's a start. So now where we're doing this is right here. So in this test run group, right, we sorry, I got distracted by my stream health meter over here. Although I think everything's okay. Yeah. Okay, so we have a new run group. So now, right, well, this is going to happen down here, right? We create a new run instance, and this is the new group ID and the new run ID. And then we pass in the parent run, which is what we're passing around now. So I guess what I kind of want to do is I want a run path, and we're going to have the same sort of thing, a group path. And what we'll do is we'll set this group path equals parent group path. And this is going to be the run path. And then we will just tack on the new group and run ID there. So that should not have broken anything. Well, actually, it should have, because everywhere that we're pulling out the path. So let's see. So I guess what we want to do is wherever we have, well, path, we want to switch that to run path. What do we have? 14 errors. So wait a minute, what did I just do? Okay, that is working. I wish this would show the change it's going to make, not what you're changing. But anyway, I guess knowing that, I should not start panicking too much. Okay. So I guess with us having that calculated now at runtime, I'm trying to think how to like best change this without breaking too many things. I guess what I'll do is before so in our state class here, where we keep all of the groups, I think I am just going to change the name of that because I don't want to change what we're doing in Discovery yet, because I think I'm going to have to rework how I do that a little bit. But what I do want to see is where else we're using. I mean, I guess I kind of have it documented here, but I want to see where else we're using this so I can see what sort of changes we need to make for the other places it's being used. So this I knew was going to break. And this here, right, I can just set that, and that should fix Discover. So that'll all be happy again. Okay. So here then, so that is getting the group path. So if we just get this run group path, and then where are we storing? Do I need to do that maybe? Well, I'd like to just find group equals so I kind of want to just put the group path in there. And I guess I can do that. Then this is going to be just the results group. What happens if I do that? I guess I have some sort of business set here in results. So this is going to be okay. So that seems to work. And I kind of wonder, actually, if maybe I should kind of split out group ID into its own struct. And this would basically take like this stuff. I guess this might also have a parent. I don't even have the parent in here, though. But I guess it would be somewhat similar. somewhat similar here. So this would be the ID. Well, this would just be ID. And so what we would have is this ID equals ID, this, oh well, this would be this path equals the parent path, and then that would just be that. And then this would go to group ID. That would go away. This would go to, so we would have, I guess, group ID, run ID, and then the parent. So this group then would be a new group ID, and that would be the group ID and the parent group. So that should cause some stuff to break. So 766. Okay, so we changed everything from path to run path. I now have to change everything back to path. Okay. All right. So now what we'll do here is we'll just assign the group, which means back in main, this needs to be result. This needs to be group. So tool one then run. This is going to go to the path, and then ID. So I think that might fix that. Nope. So what's going on here? Oh, I need to write all my files maybe. Yes, this got a little too exuberant on the deletion there. Group ID, parent, what's wrong? Oh. So I guess what we need to do is else this group equals new group ID. Well, I don't know. This group. I guess we might as well just do that. Okay. So I feel like that's pretty nice. Now I guess what do we have here? Add group ID, remove run group ID. So that's kind of one test, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually commit this. What did I change here? Oh, yeah, okay. Okay, so now let's go into Discover here. And so in discovery state, I guess what I want to do is maybe just throw an integer in here called next group ID equals 1. Although I feel like this isn't quite, I feel like what I did back there in what did I do here? Oh yeah. I feel like this may not actually be quite right. No, I guess that is, right? So when we create a new run, we start off with a run instance with a group ID and a run ID of 0. So what happens here? And maybe I should just, I don't know. So anyway, we set the ID to 0. I guess we should start in the right class here. We set the ID to 0. We don't have a parent. So we basically just start with an array with 0 on it. And then we're going to have a new group ID where it's just the ID is 1 and we have an array of 1. Or ID is 0 and we have an array with 0. One element with 0. So I guess that's going to be the same thing, right? Because I think in here, yeah, we're initializing this with group 0 being an array of just 0. Okay. So we're fine. Everything's fine. I didn't make any changes there, right? So I guess because we're no longer doing that array, I want, I guess, just an integer with the next group ID, and we'll initialize that to 1. So in that case, I feel like we don't need to pass this number around anymore. So where are we doing that? We're doing that there. And we're doing that there. Doing it here. But then all we are going to need to do here, I believe, is just say state next group ID. And I think all of that can go away. So let's just test that out. That looks good. I guess what we really want to search for is that. So I have a feeling there's some things. Yeah. And then 132. And that's going to break some tests. It's not going to break some tests. Why isn't that breaking tests? Oh, right, because PHP doesn't care if you pass extra arguments to a function. So I guess that means now, just to finish that up, we can get rid of that. Okay, so booyah. So let's just take a quick look at that. Uh-oh. There we go. Looks good. Looks good. Okay. Jer so what do I have? What do I have up there? I guess I'll just, for good measure, push that up to see how we're looking. And let me just make sure I'm logged in here. Looks like we might be in good shape here. All right, nice, nice. Well, so now what? That actually, I was prepared for this to turn into like another 3-hour mess like it did yesterday. But I haven't even been going for an hour yet, so... well, I guess I'll look in what else we're doing. Because, right, I also have this note here about... seeing if I can get rid of this runs array. So what am I doing here? So here we are right, we have so if you're valid, we get the lower named run index. The run group is a test run group. So we create the new run, set the name, add that run to to the index of runs in the run group. Basically, this just creates the test run if we don't have it already created, and then we go see if it's valid. So what are we doing? Invalidate runs? Is this where we're... So here we are setting the run ID. Adding the tests from the run group, and then adding that run to the global run, list of global runs. So I guess I'll do the same thing I did before. Let's set, just change the name on that, see what that breaks. So in Discover, let me just knock out Discover here, because all I need to do here is set that to underscore. So 958, what are we doing down there? So get run name. That's right, we're determining the run name. And I think we can just pass that in. We can just pass that in when we create the new run instance. So that shouldn't be a problem. This is the one part I'm worried about. So where are these run IDs coming from? Add run from dependency. Run, and what is run here? Where's that even coming from? Oh, for each dependency, dependencies are an array of function dependencies. So that is an array of run dependencies, and that has the run IDs in there. And where are we creating? So in run, right? Right here. I think we should just pass that run in. Or do we have, so what are we doing here? Okay, so up here, that's a path, and then we hold, okay, so we're not actually, putting in like a real run. We're figuring out the path, or the index, you might say, and saving that index here in dependencies. And then the next time we see dependencies, right, is here where we're postponing the current test. Oh, is that? I'm wondering if I'm doing this correctly. So if basically if this test isn't already postponed, we postpone this test. And then we grab out basically the dependency. So then we get the run name, and I have a feeling so let's go from work to runs, and that's going to be let's search for get run name. Okay, so that is what we were doing before. Oh, so what we're saying is, okay, if so we pull out the postponed test and then we see if it's already set, if we're already waiting for that run, and if not, we add a new run dependency for this current run. And then we get then we basically overwrite the dependency. And then for each dependency as a prerequisite, we get the name and the run. What are we setting this to? Oh, the test name, the resolve test name, and then basically the run path. Okay. So where was this? 249. So what are we doing here? We get that run. So this is what I just say this was. Run IDs as an array of and so we get the run ID out. Oh, and then we have the state. Okay, so yeah, then we have the runs, the test run sitting in state, and we pull that run out. But do we, so I feel like, well, one problem is, right, we're using the run, the framework assigned run ID and not the actual name of the run. So maybe if we use that, because I think we can just look this up from the reference test run group that's passed in. So let me set that back. Let's set this back. Let's just make sure everything looks okay. Thought I had silence that, but obviously not. Okay, so now let's just run that. Let's go into PHP debug. And we want to break on source dependency on line 248. All right, so let's take a look at the run index. We just incremented that. And then run ID is 0. Right, so let's evaluate the run that we got out. ID is 1, name is 0. And then that's the tests in there. And now let's evaluate reference. So name 0, right? File test object. This is the same thing, right? Yes. So I think if we just, I don't even know if we need to assign like a run ID number now. That's interesting. That's interesting. Because what are we doing here, right? That's exactly what we're doing. We're pulling the run out of the list of runs. We're getting the name, and then we're looking the name up in the. Okay, so if we just used run names instead of IDs, we wouldn't care. We would not care. And because we're determining a run name off of a function name, right? We're guaranteed there are certain characters in there we can't have. So like, we wouldn't, like there can't be a comma in there. So if we just imploded all the run names using a comma, we would be guaranteed of like a unique name. Okay, so I think I'm going to do that, but before I do that, I think I'm going to take a little restroom break. Yeah, so yeah, I'm going to take like a 6-minute break and be back shortly. Okay, I'm back. So, excuse me. I guess maybe the first thing is, what am I doing here? Is let's, oops, I want to go down to the bottom here. I think I want to get this run name pulled up in here into this run instance stuff. And I don't know, I guess just to be dumb at first here. I'll put this here as a function. Hi Neverworld, how are you? Welcome to my chat room, I guess, and my stream. I'm doing well today. I'm doing well. The coding's going fairly smooth today, and it's a nice day out. So I am doing well. Are you a coder or PHP coder specifically, or just kind of floating around the software channel? I guess the first thing I do is I'll take a name here. So we'll set the name. And then I guess and then I guess we'll do, just for now, we'll call it names. So what we'll do here is, well, actually, I guess, well, what we want is we want these names. Okay, so this is what I will do. If parent, this names equals parent names, otherwise we'll just put names equals name. And then what we'll do, so what are we doing here in this function? If, we're just going to do this. If this names, then this name is going to be that. Otherwise, this name is going to equal that. I think that's all we need to do. Let's see what that breaks. Get run name is not found. Yes. So well, where's runs coming from? This run path. Well, dang. Because right, we're here we are sort of dynamically generating a run name. from this pen. Well, no, wait, that's fine though, right? We're saying we can do this if we get names. So one of the problems I think is we are indexing run names by so what are we getting for run? Run is implode. So that is just an implosion there. Hmm. But if that was just an index, we could just wait. Where's runs? If this is just a an array of the names, we could just do that. The only thing is this formatting business. Um, and what the reason for run is going to be, I feel like we're overriding run here. I guess not. Or I just need to start giving this stuff better names. But okay, so what we're gonna do is where was get run name? I guess that was down here. This can go to format run name. With names, and result is going to be implode names. That's going to be that. Else result is just going to equal the empty string, and we'll return the result. Sorry, if we have names, we implode the names and stick them in a parentheses. And actually, I'm gonna format run. I guess I'm gonna call this a qualifier, because what this is doing is this is qualifying like a test name. But if there's no name, we'll just return the empty string. So this is going to take an array of strings and return a string. Hello, Jama. How are you? I'm doing well. I'm doing well. So we're going to go from actually, we want to tack the names on regardless. Kind of. It's a testing framework. So it has a little bit of complexity to it, but it's only well, I don't know, it's only about 5,000 lines of code right now. I'm kind of in a little bit of a broken state, but I don't know, are you a programmer or a PHP programmer? I can give you a little rundown once I sort out um, a rundown once I sort out what I'm working on here, because I just broke a bunch of stuff. PHP specifically, or programming in general, or both? Okay. Well, if you have any specific questions or anything, let me know. But let me just kind of get through what I'm doing here. Oh, okay. So about 3 months. What, July, August, September? Yeah, about 3 months. This is gonna go. So I just realized something I did is not going to work. $305. That's not going to work. Okay, so I guess in order to keep this the same, this needs to be the same. $258, $239. Oh, that's okay. No worries. As I said in my chat rules, feel free to get a little practice on me with your English if you'd like. So the one thing I need to, what did I just do there? So I guess what I want to do is I only want to tack this name on here if it's not the empty string. Okay. So this is the actual test framework running here. I do. It's in my channel description. I just there's not really much up there other than old VODs, but I'm debating whether or not to keep those up there. But give me a second to pull that up. This should be it here. That's it there. And I just have like I said, old streaming videos up there. But yeah, this is the test framework itself running here. And I broke something, obviously. So there's a couple things going on here. This is expected out. There's a failure where expected output, or the actual output was not what the actual output is not what was expected. And this, if you're familiar with reading like a diff or a diff format, this is output in like a diff format. So this is saying this line here is what we actually got that has the minus in front of it. And then this line here is what we expected to get. So you can see I expected to get basically no name. Well, I basically just expected to get this name test 6, but I got the 0 added on to the end of it. So I did something wrong there. And same thing here. I expected to get this, but I got this with the 1 after it. So I'm not quite sure what I did wrong there. I'll have to go look at that. But then I also have some errors. So this is telling me what the error was, what function or what test the error was in, and then the actual error message, and then what file that happened in. So I'll have to sort that out. And if you're just learning PHP and you're learning testing, it's somewhat similar to like PHP unit, which is kind of the test framework everybody else uses. So this is, I'm writing this as kind of an alternative to like PHP unit. So let me sort out these errors first, and maybe I can see what's going on here. Looks like it's all in one location here. I guess this is going to be just an empty string. Same thing here. Okay, so now we're still getting this error. So why is that happening? This is in... Let's take a look at run. What did I change here? So are we getting this test? Nothing here. Param test 5. Depends on test 6. So I see what's going on. I think I see what's going on there. And same thing. So this is a parameterized test depending on a non-parameterized test. And somehow this run identifier is being applied to that, even though it should not be. So where did I mess that up? Here. That's where I messed that up. 240, I guess. If not, this should be run name equals format run qualifier runs. That's right. So where else are we using runs here? I think only up here. So I think if we pass back, instead of path, if we do names, this is runs. That looks good. But I want to see now what we're doing with that. But anyway, that looks okay. That looks okay. That looks okay. Okay, was it record test result? Here we want names. So names is going to be one less than path, right? So if we have so the one problem with that is the top level run, right, does not have a name. So what happens if we go I don't think this is going to give us what we want. So in that case it does, but now we're going to get that's what we don't want. But here now we're never going to set a result for the top level run, which is also what we don't want. So what we can do instead, I guess the one other thing I want to check is so those are the same. So is that consistent across all versions? Looks like it. All right. So I guess what I kind of want to do is this like index or hash, maybe hash. And hash is going to be a string. Let me just check that out real quick. Does not accept. Not quite sure that would be an int or a string, but okay. Okay, so let me think about this for a second. So I guess similar to we maybe want to pull this function out. We want to just so with this format run hash, just so we have this consistently done. And this is just going to be and I forgot to qualify implode here. And right, I have format run hash called up here. Yeah, so 974. Did I really not? Okay. So let's see here. We get the names out. We get the results for the target test. If they're not the same group, then I guess it's fine. That can be path. Oh yeah, that's coming off the group. Then while we iterate until we find a different group, then we slice the runs off, and then this is going to be and so if we don't have that hash set in the result of runs, then it hasn't been resolved yet. If it was set but it's false, then that test failed. Otherwise, if if that other test passed and instead of result, we grab the result. So now, if we had any dependencies, then we create. We're going to postpone this test. So if we haven't already postponed this test, which that seems like a weird check, but it must be necessary. I don't know. Anyway, then we create a new dependency. The run name is going to be the hash, I think. And then oh, okay. So we're saying so we postpone the test, right? So we grab the function dependency out. Then we say, okay, we want this runs. What else is in the run dependency? We want to put the names in there, I think. And then oh, right, and we're saying this run, okay, this run of this function then depends on this run. And what are we setting here? Okay, and I guess we're setting that to yeah, so that makes sense. Okay, so now in record test results, instead of iterating through this here, so where are we getting this run from? So while we're also reusing this run. That's it. So while run, we want to go id equals run hash. Run equals run parent. I think that's all we want to do there. So while run, this is going to be literally the same thing. Except we're going to set that to false. I guess we can make this a for loop, actually. This is going to do, ID is going to turn into the run hash. So for run equals a run, oops. Totally hose that up, as always. So if we yeah, I think that should look all right. So let's see what we did there. $276. This is not like me. Trying to stick an array of strings in there. And same thing here, I suppose. So we need to go up here to dependency and change this from a run dependency. So this is going to be a array of strings, and this is going to be see what that does. All right, so 45. Yeah. Names. Okay, so here it's going to be run names and run names. So that should also break because that's going to be looking for an array of strings. So this is going to go to run name equals run names. And then source should be that. Actually, I guess run is going to be the reference runs run name. I guess that's what we're looking at. Add directory test from dependency. We're just passing those along. Oh, I guess we need to keep that parent. Yeah. A little bit surprised that did not catch. Why did they not catch that? It says it's a run instance. Why did you not catch that, PHP Stan? Right, PHP Stan should have caught the fact that run doesn't have a parent here. Right? What else am I doing with run? Run group. So why did you not catch that, PHP Stan? Oh, you did catch that. But I thought I got a, Okay, well. It's catching it now, but you did not catch that last time. I'm not making that up. No errors. Undefined property. Parent. All right, so how are we doing here? Where's my error? I have a feeling I'm going to need to run these tests in debug mode. Yeah. Where is my error? Dependency. So I'm like getting hosed here. I think by the fact that the names doesn't include like a dummy value for the top level run. So I'm not sure what to do about that. Because, right, when we were passing in the path, we would have had a 0 there at the beginning. So what were we doing? Were we just storing? Um, I'm mildly confused here. So you were just passing it along, but here, right? No, I guess I don't understand why. Right, because we're saying 1, 0. I guess. So let me just stash this. Let's make sure we're looking okay here. Okay, so what we want to do is, and this is what were we here? We were add run from dependency. Here, so let's break source dependency line 248 here. So yes, we have parent level run. So if we get in oh, so run index starts. Oh, so are we just initializing run index to 1? Where's our entry? Resolve dependencies. Then we resolve dependency. Okay, where's run index? Here. Well, I guess I shouldn't do that here. Okay, so we still have something breaking. We had a failed insertion in here. We're gonna need to run this on the bug. So what is this pre-run? Boy, there's probably some jankiness going on in here. For each run, so I guess this is assuming pre-run is that's the prerequisite run. Or the runs of the prerequisite, which is now a list of names. Okay. Let me throw out my banana peel. I'll be right back. I kind of want to wrap this up soon too, but so if we do a bunch of stuff with postponed. Oops. Otherwise, so if the name has already been postponed, otherwise if the name is not in the list of results, otherwise what would we do with this pre-run ID? So I guess I'm not sure. Is this really all we're using pre-run for? I feel like that should still be passing. Where is this in? Test runner. Right, so, we're still getting a number in there, I guess, but I wonder if, right, name runs test one. So I suspect that's non-parameterized. So are we? Is that just a problem with the test? What are we in? Test dependencies between parameterized tests. So I guess I'm doing something wrong there. Um, we're using a path somewhere where we shouldn't be. This should be I can't remember what I call it anymore. This run names. Format. Maybe get run hash. Two, three, four, five, six, 7, 8, 9. That do it? Still failing. And it's the same. What? Oh. Where are we here? 170. What are we looking for? Results. So this is in what? Results? So we're getting, what are we saving? So we must, right, we're storing the right thing in the results, but what do we, this is, so we're getting the names, then we're slicing the names, then we're getting a hash out of the run. And if that's not set, passing in the array of runs or names. So if that's false, right? So if there's no result, then that test has not been run. So we pass that on to, we basically say, okay, here's a dependent test. Here's a test we depend on that has not been run. If there is a result, but it was false, meaning the test failed, then we just skip this test. And otherwise, if we have some sort of result that the other tests say, we pick that off, and put it in results that return. So now here, if we have dependees, in other words, tests that have not been run yet, then we get the name of this test, right? Basically, we're going to postpone this test, so we create a function dependency saying this test is going to depend on whatever tests that have not been run. So we get the hash of this run and say, okay, if we don't have if this is the first time we're adding this, I see why we may have, because we may have already postponed this test for another run. So then we'd say this run equals a new dependency with this, this name. So then for each dependency, so I feel like this should be doing that right? What are we storing in here? Either null or runs, which is an array of names, right? Although are we being bit now by that's probably what's happening, right? Because again, I just said so if we just subtract 1 from this. Oh boy. All right. I'm going to put that assertion in there. Assert count of runs equals count of us minus 1. An implicit top level group. And this almost makes me wonder now. To which we there's an implicit top level group, and also what do I want to say? So basically, there's an implicit top level group and run to which we assign the ID 0 to. However, we don't want this implicit top level run name showing up in test results. Therefore, the list of names, which excludes this top level run, and would just be the empty string anyway, has one less element than the list of groups, which includes the implicit top level group. I guess the fact that there's an implicit to which we assign the ID 0. Top level run. but we don't want this, so what happens if, well, I don't know. I guess that's fine. I guess that's fine. Um, in determining the slice of common names between two tests, we need to subtract 1 from the number of common groups, the number of groups in common. Showing up in the test report. Or we don't want this being displayed. Okay. So I feel like the net result of all of that is, do I have main open? Is now we can get rid of this. I think the only place we're doing this now is in discovery. We are needlessly now assigning that to, yeah. The global state. And this is going to turn into next run ID. Right, and we have the discovery state here. Yeah, so run equals all right. And I guess what we're actually saying is we don't even need we actually don't even need seems like we can just use the run name directly. Okay, so I think I'm probably going to call this a stream. Let me just what did I do there? I want to quit. I feel like this stream has been the very example of that saying that there's three hard problems in programming: naming things and off by one errors. Because that's like what all my hard trouble, all my hard debugging was. Okay. Okay. So, what was the work we did here? We basically used run names. I know, I mean, basically we eliminated storing the list of runs globally. Branch man runs. So I'm pretty happy with that work. It sure was finicky though. I may take like another pass through that maybe tomorrow and just kind of make sure there isn't some more kind of egregious jank hanging out in the code. But I think that's pretty much all I wanted to do with that. And I guess tomorrow I can maybe look at that to do about eliminating sort of the bogus top level run or top level group. Hmm. I don't know, yeah. But we're all passing. We're all passing, so things look good. And yeah, I guess right, everything's clean here. No unsaved changes hanging out. So yeah, I'm gonna call that a stream. And if anybody's lurking or watching this on the bot after the fact, I thank you for joining me. But then in the meantime, whoever or wherever or whenever you are, I bid you peace. Take care.